Chapter 29 of Two Blue Vortex has truly opened our eyes, or perhaps more accurately, proven that this chapter is the beginning of a change that will have a huge impact in the future. Whether it leads to something worse or the opposite, at least for the next 8 minutes, there's a topic that I'm sure won't be boring for us to talk about. Yep, this is what it is. First and foremost, Ikamoto has proven that to determine how powerful a divine tree human is, we cannot simply judge by who their original body is or where their chakra manifestation actually comes from. Even if we judge based on who their original body is or what their manifestation is, it's not 100% accurate. As proven in Chapter 29, Mamushi has shown us that he is the only one of Jura's subordinates who has the potential to defeat the strongest cyborg at the moment, compared to some of the other divine tree humans, except for Jura. And speaking of the strongest cyborg at the moment, Daemon, I'm sure we've all heard a theory, analysis, or something similar about a method of how Mamushi could easily defeat Daemon and devour Eida. But of course, of the various theories and analyses, Chapter 29 is the most relevant. I mean, basically, Mamushi's ability has a weakness that lies in his intelligence. The more he splits his body, the more his intelligence slowly decreases. And if Mamushi's intelligence continues to decline, then Mamushi's movements will be based solely on instinct, not on the intention to kill. If the concept of Daemon's strength or ability is a reflection of the intention to kill, then any attack from Mamushi should not be reflected. Logically, after its intelligence declines, the Mamushi will have no intention to kill anyone other than Eida herself as its priority. Since the food it targets is only Eida, then other than Eida, that intention or instinct should not appear. Because based on what we know, especially in the real world, wild animals always hunt purely based on instinct. So as long as they are not the target or the prey, what they do is simply defend themselves from danger. So in this case, Boruto and his friends should be considered a threat by Mamushi after its intelligence declines. And therefore, Daemon should also be considered the same, because Mamushi's target is only Eida. In other words, Mamushi's attack on Daemon would not be reflected if Mamushi acted on instinct and did not truly want to kill. Because, once again, Mamushi's target from the beginning was only one, and that was Eida. As long as Eida had not been preyed upon, Mamushi should have had no reason to kill anyone. Boruto, Kawaki, even Daemon were all only considered threats, not prey. Just like wild animals in nature, they attack not to kill or eat unless it is their actual prey. Because of course, animals attack in two categories: preying because it is their food target, and attacking to survive from threats. What does that mean? If Mamushi attacked Daemon not with the intent to kill but to defend itself, then Daemon's reflex ability should not have activated. But at this point, what do you guys think? Is this a ridiculous logic, or is it actually quite reasonable? But if you think it's unreasonable, please let me know. So yeah, for other parts that are certainly still interesting in this chapter, there's also Mamushi's ability itself. Whether it's terrifying or not, Chapter 29 has proven that even Kawaki was shocked when Mamushi could fly. And that's just like Jura. But is the fact that Mamushi can fly just a coincidence? And is the ability to fly something terrifying or something like that? But try to imagine this, guys. In a worst case scenario, Mamushi keeps splitting himself until the number becomes something we can't even measure. Limitless, beyond dozens or even hundreds. Imagine more than tens or even hundreds of Mamushis attacking Daemon from the ground and even from the air. What would happen, and what could Daemon possibly do? Especially if, at this point, Daemon can't reflect every attack, particularly when those attacks don't come from an intent to kill, but from an intent to survive. And considering the prophecy where Eida ends up trapped inside the Shinju tree, it starts to make a lot more sense why Daemon ultimately might not be able to truly protect Eida after all, right? And do you also know that sooner or later, this situation and condition will be known by Lord Kobu or the elders of Konoha as well? Considering the massive number of Mamushi created in the middle of Konoha village, it seems impossible for them not to know about it. And even though we know that Mamushi won't do anything bad like destroying Konoha buildings or anything like that because it's forbidden by Jura, it seems that nothing is impossible if Mamushi becomes even more foolish. He loses control of his mind and intelligence and will unconsciously act even crazier. And of course, this will have an impact, as an interrogation will likely take place involving Shikamaru in the next chapter as well. Because we know that, thanks to Konohamaru, Shikamaru has been forced into a situation that Konohamaru himself probably never imagined. Instead of trying to protect Shikamaru's position as Hokage, it actually makes Shikamaru even more suspicious in the eyes of others, and it could even trigger his removal from the Hokage seat, right? But what becomes a consideration or distraction is the Mamushi invasion. I mean, will the interrogation still proceed amid the chaos in Konoha caused by the attack of the Divine Tree People? Because so far, only Sai knows about the emergency situation in Konoha. The question is, will the interrogation still be carried out amid this emergency situation? And do you think Konohamaru has made the worst decision? But speaking again about Mamushi, specifically about defeating them, it seems that there is a method that may not have been thought of before. So far, we have seen how Boruto and Kawaki were able to kill them easily. But if they don't gather in the same area, it's useless. Because as we've seen before, Mamushi has split his body and spread out to every point in Konoha to search for Eida. This means that no matter how easily Kawaki and Boruto destroy them, if they are not gathered in one area, it will only be a waste of time and energy. Because after all, Kashin Koji's plan from the beginning was to gather all the Mamushi in one area or place and then destroy them all in one decisive attack. And according to Kashin Koji's words, the real Mamushi body will not hide itself in another place, because Mamushi will always gather in the largest group. So what is the solution? And whether this sounds ridiculous or not, is it possible that in Chapter 30 another plan will be revealed? I mean, in this case, Shikamaru has made another plan after finding out that the Mamushi are making other moves, which forces Shikamaru to think of another plan. In other words, is it impossible for Shikamaru to use the craziest but most effective method? Instead of herding the Mamushi to one location, Shikamaru uses Eida as bait to lure them to gather in one location, so Konoha doesn't have to exert a lot of effort. After all, Mamushi's only target is Eida. Even when one of the Mamushi realized that Kawaki and Boruto were obstacles, they didn't really care and only focused on Eida. So, do you think Shikamaru will use this crazy method for more efficient and maximum results? In my opinion, even though it sounds crazy or something, I think this is a very ideal plan, right? But in your personal opinion, is there a more ideal and reasonable way to herd the Mamushi into one area or location? And regardless of what I've said, do you think there's a more interesting part of this discussion? I want to hear your opinions. Oh yeah, some of you might be wondering why I didn't include or focus on Boruto and Momoshiki, even though the most important and crucial point of Chapter 29 is actually the two of them, right? Honestly, when it comes to Boruto and Momoshiki, especially the case involving the Byakugan, I've already discussed that in this video. And to be honest, there's another point that might be just as exciting, if not even more so, when talking about Momoshiki and Boruto. More specifically, it's about the fans' expectations that Boruto would never truly give his body to Momoshiki. Well, for this case, I'm still looking for ideas or an answer to break down this issue. But at the very least, in less than 24 hours, I'll have it figured out. Yep, that's how it is. So yeah, thank you for watching, like and subscribe. I'm Nim without the E. See you in the next video. Bye-bye, Dadabayo.